also do the Comal and the Guadalupe River for us. Our above water contract costs us roughly $100,000 a year, $100,000 annually, and our scuba contract costs us roughly $50,000 annually. The above water contract, it does include the servicing of our entrances and exits, or what I refer to as our facilities, which includes scrubbing the steps, pressure washing the facility, clearing weed mats and debris from the facilities and locations and things of that nature. They service the Guadalupe River, which is the trash boats that are on the river. They also service and pick up all the litter and trash that's left on the banks or is within reason just a little bit underneath the water. On the Comal River, they do trash boats and they do banks also. One thing different on the Comal River is they also clean up parts of the old channel of the Comal River going up as far as Hinman Island Drive from Comal River proper. And then they also do a little bit of the dry Canal Creek there where it's by Knights of Columbus and goes underneath Seguin Avenue coming back into the confluence with the Comal River. Our facilities, which is the cans and receptacles in those facilities, and then also the litter that is picked up off the ground. Those facilities include the steps at Hinman Island Park, only the steps where people get in and out of the river, not the entire park. It includes the Garden Street entrance and exit to the Comal River, Last Tuber's exit on the Comal River, River Acres Park over on the Guadalupe, Cypress Bend Park on the Guadalupe, Prince Salms Park on the Comal, and the Faust Street Bridge on the Guadalupe River. The scuba contract that we hold, they do scuba on Land O'Lake. Specifically, they do the area right around the fishing pier. They do the area by Spring-Fed Pool and the Land Dam, and then they do the area around the boathouse for us. Then the big part of the scuba contract is the whole length of the Comal River from the dry Canal Creek down to the confluence of the Guadalupe River. That's about 3 miles of river that they clean underwater for us, and they do an excellent job. While I have a chance to talk about some numbers, I'll throw these up here. These are numbers that have been reported by the newspaper and the radio station for the last 10 years that I have been here. Nothing has changed with those numbers. One thing that is important to point out about this is the totals that are reported. They do include the above water contract, the scuba contract, and some small amounts of litter that are collected by volunteer groups that report it to me. And all those totals are reported in gallons. I will mention the 2011 total you see of 673,000 gallons. That is as of September the 30th, and that is the most up-to-date number that I have as far as gallons collected from our rivers this summer. There was a lot of discussion and confusion about where the litter came from and where it originates from. So I wanted to make sure and lay out the most detailed sheet that I have to show everyone. It is included in the packet in the presentation that everyone has in front of them. I'm sorry those numbers are a little bit small. But what you see here are the different categories and the different locations that my river litter contractor reports litter collected to me from. So starting at the top, it talks about the Guadalupe boats, which is the Guadalupe trash boats where they're anchored on the river, and they actually, tubers can place trash in the boats as they go by. Then it talks about the Guadalupe banks, which would be litter that would have been picked up off the bank. The Comal boats and the Comal bank are next, exact same thing. Then we get into the facilities. The Hinman Island steps, the Garden Street Bridge entrance and exit, Last Tuber's exit, River Acres Park, Cypress Bend Park, and Prince Salms Park. Before I move away from that group of facilities, I do want to mention that we have cans in those facilities. So one place that litter originates is from the receptacles that people place it into. But with some of those facilities, just as significant is the litter that comes off the ground at those facilities. Specifically, I'll mention Last Tuber's exit, about 50% comes from the receptacles, about 50% comes off the ground. That is not my estimation. It is an estimation by our litter contractor and what he and his employees do on a daily basis, and that is where I obtain that information from. The small part of the dry Canal Creek that we clean, the Faust Street Bridge area and the old channel of the Comal. And then the scuba that we did, I mentioned, is the Land Boathouse, the Land Dam, the fishing pier, and then the Comal River proper that my contractor splits into 3 different areas for me. As we move across the sheet to the right, you'll see this is the total of gallons that has been collected in 2011 as of September the 30th. And then the next 2 columns, what you see is where we have broke out what was disposed of in receptacles properly, and then what we have picked up off the ground as litter. Everything that goes into a boat, whether it's the Comal or Guadalupe, was disposed of properly. If it's picked up off the banks or from the underwater, obviously that was litter and it was not disposed of properly. At Hinman Island Steps, my litter contractor told me that 100% for the most part of what he picks up there comes out of cans and it does not come off the ground. Thus you see it reported as disposed of properly. The Garden Street Bridge exit, same thing. Last Tubers exit, I mentioned to you a little bit earlier that my river contractor told me it's about a 50-50 split. River Acres Park and Prince Psalms Park I'll mention together because it's about an 80-20 split, again according to the river contractor, litter contractor. And then Cypress Bend Park generally has a very large portion that's picked up off the ground, but this year because the Guadalupe didn't have as heavy of traffic, litter contractor told me this year most all of that came out of the cans rather than off the ground. Dry Canal Creek, Foul Street Bridge, and Old Channel to Canal, there are no cans, so all of that ends up as litter. Scuba, none of it's from cans, it's all from underwater or from the shallow banks, and that, of course, is all litter also. If you add those columns down, 280,000 gallons, or roughly 42%, was disposed of properly in receptacles, and about 385,000 gallons, or about 58% of that, was disposed of improperly as litter in the bottom of our river or on our banks, or picked up off the ground in one of our parks or the bottom of Last Tubers exit or something of that nature. I do want to mention there is a couple of categories here that are not accounted for, which we cannot quantify, but that is the amount of trash that is not picked up or collected by anyone, does not end up in a trash can, and quite honestly ends up farther down the Guadalupe River, either in Lake Dunlap or makes it all the way to the coast down in the Gulf. Another amount of litter, which is unquantifiable, which we don't have a number for, is the amount that is picked up by river residents who live along the river, who many of them have the Sunday and Monday morning routine of going out and having their coffee and picking up their backyard from the trash that was, I see Tony laughing at me, that they go out and that's their Sunday morning and Monday morning routine. So there's no way for us to quantify that amount. This is the most recent and up-to-date statistics that I have, about as detailed of a breakdown as we can get to and provide. And I hope this clarifies and gets the correct information out there. And Andy, with that, sir, that